Hey, man, it's Dukes and Bill. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Thanks for being here behind the curtain as we do each and every day. Today, Mike and I, Day will be with us as well up at Flowery Branch to talk with head coach Raheem Morris. And we'll also have a player as well. Not sure who that's going to be. But at the end of the day, Saints are up next, man. And it's a division game and it's a rivalry game. And, Mike, there's nothing like the Saints. We're going to talk with Coach and talk plenty about it today. But, guys, we got to start with what we saw last night with the Hawks. We talked about it yesterday a lot with the Hawks having a big game at State Farm Arena against Detroit last night. Mike, what'd you think, bro? What'd you think about it?
I mean, kind of previewed this yesterday on the show saying, a lot of folks, enamored with winning 8 of 10 without Trae Young, but you go up against a really good team in the Eastern Conference that's, built for the half court. This is where you need Trae Young.
Yeah.
And I thought you saw that at times. I mean, like great gritty effort. They got a big lead on us. We cut it down to 1, got it down in about 6 minutes to go to 99-98, and then we couldn't score. Then we kind of went on like a drought there for a while.
Yeah.
And it lasted almost, I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, it lasted almost 3 minutes. So until Nickeil Alexander-Walker made a big 3-pointer. So we kind of had some of those little drips or drops where you're like, okay, what's going on in the half court? And look, we got a great team. We got a great nucleus, but I think it's an example where we say, this is where Trae could really drive, draw a double team, kick it out. Guys get better looks and better scoring opportunities. And I thought, you saw the size. Size is still a problem for us at times, don't you think?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Look, Duren's a beast, bro. He's a full-grown man. And even though they were trying to body him up, he pretty much, once he got in the lane, it was a wrap. He was going whatever he wanted to do. I think we would play them a lot better, not making excuses, with Porzingis available,
right,
with Shea available, with Trae available. It's a different game because your rotations are different too. I mean, you could go at them in a different way, but the bottom line last night was this is why Detroit, and this is going to sound weird for a lot of people, they're a championship caliber team. They have a closer at the end of a game that can finish. Give the ball to Cade Cunningham, get out the way. And He's got a rebounder in Duren, and he's got other shooters around him in Isaiah. All of a sudden now, that team looks like they are going to be a problem in the Eastern Conference. So I don't know how good we are, Mike, but that's how I viewed it last night. With if we had Shea, he was on the bench, Porzingis, Trae.
Right.
I think it adds more shooting to your point, and maybe where that game looks a little bit different.
Right.
But Detroit's going to be a problem, man. Day, man, What did you think?
To your point, kind of piggybacking off of the things both of you pointed out, what I took away from it, not so much the fact that the Hawks, like you said, are not necessarily a better team without Trae, but what I took away from it was how close this team, meaning the Hawks, really might be to being a top team in the Eastern Conference from as far as competing for that conference title. Without Trae, without Zachary, without Porzingis.
Right. And you're hanging with these guys.
You were able to battle back and, like Mike said, get within one. You had another great fourth quarter. Unfortunately, you come up short in that quarter. But similar to how you battled back against Phoenix, and that one you were able to get the win, but you had a good fourth quarter. You were able to get within one. But again, you come up short. So to me, what I took away from that was, man, this team is really close because without 3 of our top players, we were able to get back within, to your point, Carl, a team that's likely going to be right there in the mix for winning that Eastern Conference title. So that left me with a little, optimism and positivity, despite, it being a loss and the win streak coming to an end. I felt good about the fact that, like I said, without those 3 guys on the court, this team battled the Pistons and showed that, we have the capability of being a team that very well should be maybe even top 4 in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, I love Nickeil. I love what he brings. He's not afraid to shoot the damn thing. He'll shoot the 3. He's got stones. I like that about him. The guy, we call this Behind the Curtain. It's Dukes and Bill, Sports Radio 92.9 The Game. Make sure you tune in today at 2 o'clock. We're live at Flowery Branch to talk Falcons with the Falcons staff and the players. But you will hear a voice behind the scenes today, and that is Big O. And, I know you love hoops, so I want to get your take on what you saw last night and what you thought about the Hawks. Everybody's excited, but I got to temper that because I need to see us at full strength. And once that happens, then I feel like, Mike, to start to evaluate. You played a great game last night. You came up short, and everybody's going to say if, ands, and buts.
All right.
Full strength, I need to see us. But, I know you love hoops, man. What did you think?
To your point, too, about the Pistons, the fact that this team is who this team is now with Jay Ivey and Cade Cunningham and Duran and Isaiah Stewart and how they've built this team up through the draft. You had those years, those very, very lean years in Detroit, and now with something different with Caden Cunningham. But to the point, too, about Caden, Caden leads the NBA in fourth quarter scoring. You saw that last night when the game needed to be taken over by somebody. It was in his hands. And he wasn't settling for jump shots last night either. He was attacking the basket, drawing fouls, getting layups, things like that. So, echoing what everybody else said too, I'd love to see this team full strength against this Pistons team full strength. I'd love to see Reza Shea and Kristaps and Trae out there. That being said, I guess I have to look at the glass half empty type. You had a chance last night. The possessions that you were down 2 and 3, you had multiple chances to get baskets on those possessions, offensive rebounds and whatnot, and you could not convert and get scores. And Detroit, on the other hand, was able to scoot the ball up on the fast break and get layups. So you had opportunities last night to get this game where it was. And then Mike said, too, you had a scoring drought. So for all the talk about how this game would like to be full strength and seeing, team on team there, even with you being down as many guys as you were last night, you had chances to get this game late, to get the lead late, and you didn't.
Yeah. Mo Gay had a double-double last night, and it was like, I know the plus-minus is like in hockey. Sometimes it doesn't tell the story, Carl, but he did a better job, I thought, against their size than Okongwu at times, for what it's worth. But and we know that Porzingis really isn't a rim protector at this stage of his career, but you're right. I mean, that's one of the things you may see. You'll see more of these guys and teams that have some size, and that's always been tough for us the last few years.
Yeah. Guys, let's shift gears, talk about the college football playoff. We'll dive deeper into this today on the show for sure, and focus on, obviously, the Georgia teams. We're talking about Georgia, Georgia Tech. Georgia moves into the top 4. Here's what's interesting to me, fellas. So the wins against current ranked opponents by conference, it's not even close. The SEC has 18. The next best conference, believe it or not, is the ACC, and they've got 8. We're talking about ranked opponents that you've beaten, right? And then the Big 12 and, of course, the Big 10. Everybody talks about the Big 10. They only got 4 of those.
Right.
The Big 10 is literally fighting for a third team. It's Ohio State. It's Indiana. Is Oregon going to be in there? Everybody thought the Big 10 would have 4 or 5. The SEC is still the best conference. And, Mike, when you looked at last night in the rankings, you see that Georgia, obviously, and you see Alabama still, all they got to do is beat Auburn. Beat Auburn, you're going to be in the college football playoff. You look at Texas A&M, right? You start looking at the dominant teams still are coming from the SEC, and they're going to have the best chance to win the national championship.
Right. It's not SEC bias, guys. I mean, like, if strength of schedule doesn't matter, why are we here? Why do we have a committee? You know what I mean? Then let's just go back to all the computer jargon and the crap of the BCS, right, back in the day. Playoff committee, I thought punishing Alabama still called for losing to Florida State, because if you look at the schedule, Tide is 4-1 against ranked teams. I just posted this at Mike Bell, ATL. Irish are 1-2 against ranked teams, and their only victory right now is over USC as far as a ranked opponent. So, and Notre Dame lost the first 2 games of the season to start it. There's always going to be this Notre Dame, perception that they get away with it, and they're always pumped up because of their national audience, because it's true. And they do get the benefit of the doubt that maybe they don't deserve. But Alabama losing to Florida State, I think that's the only reason why they're looking up at Notre Dame in this. I thought, I said to you the other day, I thought A&M, it was ugly as could be in the first half, but they didn't punish Indiana for a sloppy come-from-behind win at Penn State, so they didn't punish A&M. They stay there at 3, and Georgia moves up to 4.
Yeah, the Notre Dame thing is interesting just because they don't play in a conference championship game, right? So,
just the tip. Remember the ACC, it's just the tip.
That's the benefit for Notre Dame that everybody hates. Dede, man, where you at on the rankings? CFP.
Oh, man, to your point, man, Notre Dame, and I think I told you guys this before. Look, I grew up a Notre Dame fan, but I feel like Notre Dame is the biggest thorn in the ACC side right now. To your point, I just don't understand how the loss to Miami does not impact where they sit. I understand Miami dropped the the Virginia game as well. I get all that.
SMU.
But, right, and then the SMU game, but I still feel like, to Mike's point, Notre Dame just benefits off of namesake. And again, I grew up a Notre Dame fan, but I just feel like they're getting the benefit of the doubt, and it did baffle me. No surprise that Georgia leaped up to number 4. Oklahoma liked where they fell in all this, and then again, Alabama. I like the fact that they're still. I know, Mike, you don't like the fact of where they're at, But I do like the fact that they still find themselves in the mix. And then, like Carl said, all they got to do is beat Auburn. They should find themselves in. What's interesting, though, going back to the ACC is basically they need a whole lot of things to happen for more than one team to get into this playoff. Right now, it's probably, and you pointed this out, and you can jump in, but you're looking at maybe Miami or Georgia Tech. Either way it goes, they got to win out. Georgia Tech, meaning they got to beat Pitt this weekend, turn around and win the ACC conference. That's the only way they're getting in. They drop either one of those games, and I don't see them getting in. And then Miami, go ahead and pick up what you were saying about they basically sit in the conference championship spot, but they don't have a path to the conference championship.
No, you're depending on Pitt beating Georgia Tech or something happening, or hell, you're depending on Pitt beating Georgia Tech and a whole bunch of craziness happening, but they virtually have no shot at getting in the ACC championship game. So you're praying for an at-large bid at that point, but who do they jump? I mean, they're not going to put Notre Dame. I think their last two remaining teams, with Stanford and Syracuse, have a combined record of 6-14. So maybe the schedule is not going to be a friend to them, but there's virtually Miami's in a very unenviable spot right now because there's no way for them to move up, but they're in a spot where they are right now. Texas Tech right now, I think probably is sitting the sweetest of everybody in that college football player from last night,
right?
Because they get that opening round game at home, and they get the group of five teams to get Tulane. So shout out to them for being where they are right now. But there wasn't virtually anything that was unchanged for me that I thought was kind of unexpected or surprising. And the big thing I think right now is that the SEC as it stands is going to get 5 teams in.
Yeah.
Well, this is why I get back to the wins against current ranked opponents by conference. It matters. And the problem for Georgia Tech, unfortunately, and Brent Key is when your conference has, 8 wins compared to double the amount the SEC has, which is 16, their best win now is right?
You lost. Clemson's not impressive. And Carl, I give credit to Tech for scheduling out a conference going to Colorado, but unfortunately, Deion's team's not even going to a bowl.
Yeah, didn't help you. You lose the NC State. You beat Wake, but Wake's a 3-loss team. Like the wins that you thought might help you along the way just haven't. And so it sucks for Brent Key because now it is literally win or go home, unfortunately. And Miami, guys, here's what's going to piss me off. They could sneak in this thing. O's right. They could literally sneak in this thing and get in as an at-large, not as a conference champion, and be the 11th seed of the 12 teams, and Georgia Tech is out, right? Virginia gets in if they were to win the conference championship. It's just kind of crappy from that standpoint, but it is what it is, man.
And for what it's worth, I mean, having these games on campus is pretty cool. Now, again, it's more football to be played, but Alabama having to go to Oregon, Carl, I mean, that's pretty impressive. Miami would go to Ole Miss, as you mentioned. Notre Dame would play at Norman against the Sooners, and we already talked about Tech and Tulane. But, yeah, that's the thing. I mean, it's just the strength of schedule. The ACC is just further proof, man. They're in a tough spot right now. And Miami, I just hope that Carson Beck goes up to Pittsburgh in this crappy weather and he poops the bed, right? That's your only hope.
More on this today, guys. It is Dukes and Bell. Hey, thanks for being here. Thanks again for checking us out, as always, behind the curtain, however you're accessing it. Twitch, YouTube, Insta, wherever we're at, man, and all the social media platforms. All right, before we get out of here, we will be up at Flowery today. Look, I'd love to tell you that Ra is going to cry on the air and sob and tell you guys he's sorry. That's not happening, okay? They're trying to maintain their season, build some confidence back into the fan base because most of us have lost it. We've lost 5 straight. Right. And I'm really curious to find out, where the building is, where he's at, where this team is at. And look, I don't know what to expect Sunday. I have no expectations. By the way, it's a 4:00 game against the Saints. So just so Falcon fans and everybody knows, it's not a 1:00, so it's a 4:00 game. But with that said, Mike, we're going to ask him the necessary things. And I only say that to say, if you are one of these dumbasses out there, and I'm talking to you, who expect us to hold Ra hostage and force him to answer something that you think we need to know, like, I'm going to quit tomorrow. He's not doing that, okay? He's going to ride this to the end, even if it means he gets fired. But we're going to press his ass and ask him the things that we need to ask him. So stop sending us stuff about, are y'all going to ask the hard questions? It's dumb.
Again, guys, we ask the hard questions, okay? You got to be respectful because we're up there every week for a season. Now, you expect to go in there and go, Coach, you suck. This team is shit. Yeah, that's what professionals do. That's what Twitter is about. By the way, breaking news real quick, and we will ask Ra about this. Allison Mastrangelo, Carl, from Channel 2, reporting that it has been determined that Michael Penix Jr. will undergo season-ending surgery for a partially torn ACL.
And it's big news. This is what we've been waiting on. We said Monday when we came back, and we said we know maybe by the day we go up there, we know.
Look, like I said, we talked about this last week. We asked about him. Do you get angry with these guys? Do you raise your voice? Do you change your approach? The only thing I could think of that's we've left off the table, I said to Carl yesterday on the radio, when Pitts goes and does some effortless crap, why don't you bench him? Granted, now Zach's got to pivot, and if you don't have a third tight end on the roster starting that or active that week, you can't do it. But, I mean, how else can you send a message to this team other than starting to sit people, which isn't going to help you because we got to win 4 games just to get to friggin' 500 right now.
Yeah,
but I mean, I'm at a loss. I'm sure. I wonder if the coaching staff is at a loss, Carl.
But he's got to answer that, and we'll see if he does. All right, make sure you tune in.
That's the one thing I have concern about is asking a question about that knee. Like going back to the previous injury with Mike, that's the thing I want to know from Raheem. Like, how certain were you guys with the knee that when you put him back out there to play, that there was going to be no reoccurrence of anything else? Like, that's the one thing I would like to know about that knee. How strong was it that last time from the bone bruise until now when everything was okay?
It's a great question. And maybe we'll get that answer. I hope we do. More today with the Falcons at Flowery Branch, guys. We'll bring you the latest as the new update, as Mike just gave you. Penix officially done for the season. He went out of state, for those who don't know, and got that second opinion. So that's not Falcon doctors. That's somebody else who saw him and said, this is what you need to do, just for your information. All right, guys, we'll talk to you guys at 2 o'clock. Be there. Thanks for being here.
Hey.